The Pittsburgh Pirates came from behind late to take a 4-3 win from the Cubs at PNC Park, and Paul Skenes toes the rubber in the rubber match today. That and more today on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary, and this 4-3 victory certainly didn't erase everything we talked about yesterday. In fact, that stuff, firing the coach, GM, anyone that's not going to go away at this point, none of that. But we're not going to discuss it every day in depth. I'm sorry. That's just not what we're going to do here. And once I've kind of put it out on the table that's where I'm at, it doesn't mean that I have to discuss it every single day and we can't discuss anything positive. It was a good game. Before we get into this game and today's matchup for that matter, we first have to acknowledge the fan that fell from the Clemente wall onto the field. It was horrible for everyone involved. I certainly hope the fan is okay. Really shook everyone in the ballpark and most of the people watching at home, I'd imagine. There are eyewitness reports out there, and if you're so inclined, you'll find videos of that. I just don't think that's something I need to be putting out there on this show. Suffice to say, I hope he's okay. Obviously, offer my prayers and hopes, but I don't need to get into speculation about how it happened or anything. Doesn't sound like it was anything nefarious. So just a terrible accident, and one that I hope has a happy ending here. So the Pirates led this one until the fifth. And then stop me if you heard this one before. Carmen Mlodzinski hit the wall. Listen. Quality 4-3 victory. Let's not diminish it. It was a good game for the Pirates. They needed this one. And they fought hard to get it. And they did well to be in a position to get it. And Carmen Mlodzinski pitched a really good ball game up until the fifth inning. Then he let two guys on. They relieved him with Ryan Borucki. And Ryan Borucki, proceeded to allow those couple runs to score plus one of his own. Borucki had been untouched in those situations this year. He had not given up any of his inherited runners. So it was at least a move that made a lot of sense to go to him. If anything, you could say you probably should have picked up on some earlier warning signs in the fourth inning, even the third for that matter, that Carmen Mlodzinski was being seen better by the Cubs the second time through. Again, not that we should have been surprised by that because, well, that's what he's been doing. I don't know here. I feel like we're getting to the point with Carmen Mlodzinski where you're yelling at your toddler not to reach for hot pans up on the stove instead of wising up and moving them to the back burner so that they can't possibly reach them, right? I mean, you have to at some point take the danger away too. You can't just continue to preach to the danger. It hasn't been working. Carmen Mlodzinski has proven a couple things here. One, he's got a heck of an arsenal. And he has the ability to go out and get a strikeout when he needs to strike out against almost no matter who it is. He's good against righties and lefties. He's got stuff that can get righties and lefties out. He has the ability to rear back and find extra velocity when he needs it. He has the ability to paint his sweeper against either side and get an out. Carmen Mlodzinski is not a bad pitcher. His ERA makes it look like he's a bad pitcher. His overall stats make it look like he's a bad pitcher. But that is largely in part to them trying to allow him to stretch out. Now, listen, the experiment has gone on too long. I heard Greg Brown on the broadcast last night trying to pump him up basically and say like, "Hey, he's a first round pick. Would you give up on a first round pick after 5 starts?" Or and Kevin Young of course is agreeing with him. Listen, they're doing their job, okay? But yeah, you would give up on on a pitcher that isn't making it happen here. And he was a comp B pick. Yes, that's technically a first rounder. Um, I understand that. Hey, I've used that comp, but I'm not going to use that comp as an excuse to continue to try to drive a square peg into a round hole. Carmen Mlodzinski has proven that he is a good reliever, probably a good long relief guy if you really wanted him to be, but he could be a jack of all trades. You could bring him in to give you 3 innings here and there. You could bring him in to give you one really high leverage situation inning. You can do a lot of different things with an arm like Carmen Mlodzinski. The reasons are not just selfish either. It's not just because I want to see Bubba Chandler or I think they have better options. That stuff's true as well. But the injury to Justin Lawrence and honestly Colin Holderman being shaky at best, even Kyle Nicholas, who's done better recently, he's still had a few shaky outings. Boy, to me, it would feel a lot better to have somebody like Carmen Mlodzinski in that bullpen. I think he could actually kind of help to stabilize it and give Derek Shelton some more competent options to do a lot of different things with. Like obviously, like the Dennis Santana, he's on bereavement. That's a short term situation here. So it's not like that's going to continue on. They're going to get that back. But Carmen Mlodzinski could be a really nice piece back there that I think would stabilize things. And then, yeah, on the other side of things, it gives you an opportunity to get somebody like Bubba Chandler up here. I know they're still going to talk about other options there, like Thomas Harrington, Mike Burrows. Mike Burrows has been pretty good too, honestly. I'm just ready for a starting prospect to get a shot at starting. I think it's time for it. I think you're starting to get to that point with Bubba where you were with Paul Skenes, where you're limiting his action in the minors, but now you're getting to the point where you're letting him go 5 innings and, 70, 75 pitches. Next time out, you're probably looking at, 6 innings, maybe you let him go 80, 90, even 100 pitches. Well, now you're getting to the point where you're just sacrificing his innings for the minor leagues. I think personally, I'd rather see those in the majors, a lot like we did with Paul Skenes. So it's time to make that call. The glass ceiling for Carmen Mlodzinski remains intact. He is a reliever. I think that much is proven. I think the stats prove it. I think the eye test proves it. It's time to make a decision here. It may not save the season, but it sure could move it forward. When we come back, we're going to talk about the matchup today in the matinee rubber match. Paul Skenes versus Colin Ray. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of the console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your, or I guess your kids' games wherever you plug in. I like to take it in hotels when I travel for work. I think it's much more portable, a lot of fun to have. I like to wind down playing some video games at night. It's not like you can ship a console, and all the handheld options out there, they don't cut it. So I think it's a great option. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube second generation. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Hey, do me a favor, subscribe, give me a like, hit me with some comments. Let's talk about today's matchup, Paul Skenes versus Colin Ray. Obviously, if you're the Pirates, this is the way you draw it up. You want your chance to win the series to be on the shoulders of Paul Skenes. That's exactly the way you hope it works out. Colin Ray, the Cubbies have been using him kind of as a spot starter / indicator that they plan to go with a bullpen game. And he's done really well so far. ZRA is 0.96. So it's gone pretty well for him. But they've been yanking him after about 3 innings most of the time and kind of going with a bullpen game. Now, he's been a starter in the past. We've seen him start for Milwaukee the last couple of years, and he's been one of the guys that we feel like we can get to. ERA in the mid fours, but he's been an innings eater. The Cubs have chosen to use him a little bit differently, and it's interesting because a lot of his bad numbers were built after seeing a rotation, an order one time through. It's very indicative of what you've seen with Carmen Mlodzinski. So it's basically like, hey, here's a guy almost just like that, but we think we can do this with him, and it'll work out a little bit better for him and us. I think that's all we're asking the Pirates to do with Carmen Mlodzinski. But Colin Ray, regardless, the Cubs have been smart with his usage so far. We'll see how they move forward with that. They may ultimately find that they need him to be a real starter, and they may start trying to stretch him out. He certainly has the pedigree there. He's done it. And a mid-4 ERA for a starter, especially if he's like your 5th starter, well, that's not the worst thing in the world. You can do that, especially if you've got an offense like the Cubs have. More often than not, if you can get a guy that's going to keep you under, 5 innings and an outing, the Cubs are going to have a chance to win, right? So not bad. For the Pirates, you've got Paul Skenes. That's obviously your feature. I'm not going to tell you everything about Paul Skenes because he's probably the only reason you're still paying attention. You know what Paul Skenes is, right? He's going to come. He does really well against the Cubbies. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a return to the strikeout culture today. Although Paul has been seeking contact lately to try to get deeper into contests, and I think we could see that continue, at least as far as the theme goes with Paul and his intentions as he approaches these games. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not 100% sure the Cubs are a team you want to seek contact against. They have some speed that kind of can make that effort hurt. And then they've got the kind of snap power that can pop up anywhere to make you pay for putting guys on base by playing games. So part of me wants to see Paul Skenes just do what he's always done against the Cubs, which is just rear back and mow them down with the strikeout. That said, I'm not going to argue with the guy trying to evolve. He wants to get deeper into games. I understand it. We'll see how they play it out. The offense started coming together a little bit better yesterday, primarily because Brian Reynolds did better yesterday. A couple base hits, and he hit the ball hard even in the double play situation that he got himself involved in. Brian Reynolds is integral to this whole thing. You have to have him. We talked about how important he was yesterday to this offense going, especially against a lefty. Well, they're not going to face that today, at least not to start, but it's still important that Brian Reynolds keeps humming. O'Neal Cruz continues to stay consistent. Andrew McCutchen continues to hit. Joey Bart continues to hit. Brian Hayes continues to get on base. So they're doing some good things there. They seem to be using Matt Gorski and Emmanuel Valdez in a very strict platoon situation, up to and including pinch hitting for each other in games late. So we'll see if that continues and really how that continues after they get Spencer Horwitz back, because then I'm not sure what you do with Emmanuel Valdez, and he's been hitting. It's not a guy that you can just like drop off this roster. Not the way it's constructed anyway. Tommy Pham continues to do absolutely nothing except ground into double plays every time he gets an opportunity. All I can really say is this team tends to stick with these guys that they bring in here longer than they should, and they give them too much opportunity and exposure. Running them daily out there when they're struggling, like Rowdy Tellez or Tommy Pham, expecting them to just find it or get better. It seems to me a team like this should probably recognize, like, I had to take a veteran pitcher like David Bednar and send him to the minors so that he could get right. And we're going to talk in segment 3 about how very right Bednar looks now. You saw the benefit of shutting them down and seeing if you could work with them and get them right. The thing about Tommy Pham is, even if you get him right, there's just not enough upside. And I feel like we've basically wasted the month of April trying like hell to get Tommy Pham to play like a player he might have been 7 years ago. And even then, let's be real, he wasn't a star. So like I'm not sure that I understand that what the effort going on here is anymore. I would bring Alexander Canario into the exact same spot and play him just as much. And I bet you have at least the same results. But it might matter more with Canario. If you gave Canario the volume of at bats that you've given Pham, I like to think that he probably runs into 2 or 3 of them. I like to think that he probably gets on base and runs a little bit better. Does he play defense the way Tommy Pham does? Probably not, but I don't think Tommy Pham's all that special in the outfield. I really don't. He's made some nice catches. I'm not like completely defaming him, but the arm is nothing special, really. Canario's got a good arm. I don't know. I'd like to see more of him. If I'm given a choice between the two of them, I'm taking Canario. That's all. Show me something new. I don't want to watch Tommy Pham anymore. We're to the point right now where like the best case scenario is Tommy Pham suddenly starts hitting and he hits for a month and a half, and then you can trade him at the deadline. And I don't think you can expect to get very much no matter what. There's no reason to hold on to this. There's no reason to keep pushing forward with it. You just bench him. Like, I'm not even telling you to DFA him, okay? I'm sure that that's not a popular opinion amongst Pirates fans, but I'm just telling you, I don't even care if you DFA him. Just put him on the bench. Reverse roles with someone else you have on the bench. Consistent lineups are one thing, but consistent bad performance should indicate that you can make a switch someplace. Derek Shelton should be chomping at the bit. It's been a while since he's gotten to change his lineup. He's sitting there going, anybody got some of them lineup changes? He needs to do one. So if you ask me, perfect opportunity, perfect situation to do so. Let's take another quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about David Bednar. Is he back? Is he really back? Did you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, or I guess eggs, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. It's a happy, feel good kind of segment today. David Bednar, man, it ain't often that you send a veteran down to the minors for a short retune and have them come back looking like a completely different pitcher. Everything inside of me told me David Bednar was washed. The velocity was there, but he had lost movement. He wasn't placing his secondary stuff anymore. Wasn't able to get any kind of ground ball situation going with his splitter. He was predictable. He was hittable. He was somebody that I think opposing offenses were looking forward to seeing because they knew they were going to get a meaty fastball they could take a mighty Thor-like hack at. Well, now David Bednar's back, and he does not look the same. This looks like all-star David Bednar. I'm not telling you he's going to be an all-star this year. I think he's done enough damage already to himself to not get into that situation. But, what I mean by that is one inning at a time. It's going to take him half a season to get his numbers back to respectable if he continues to pitch exactly like this. But I don't think anybody in that room is going to care, and neither will you, about his stats if this is the way he's pitching. Brilliant outing last night against the Cubs, honestly. He pitched in the blowout loss to the Cubs too, which I questioned at the time. He did give up a run in that contest, but I think that's more situational, and the Cubs were kind of in a feeding frenzy too. It's almost like you're not gonna reel a lure through an entire bunch of hungry sharks. You're just not. And I felt like there was no way anybody was going to get untouched after a while in that game. The Cubs were just swinging really, really hot bats in that one. And it's just not that leverage situation that he's used to, and he needs that edge. And quite frankly, he didn't have it. But let's talk about what he's actually doing that's different. First, the fastball. We talked about the command. It's been about the command. The command is super important for David Bednar. He has to be able to place that fastball just off of the top of the zone, but not so far that it doesn't attract anything. He's getting swings on it, and he's getting soft contact because it's right in the right place. It's too high to really get to and put authoritative swings on for most players. It's not quite high enough that you would risk taking it for a ball. And oh, by the way, you have to respect it because he can hit the zone if he wants to, and he's landing his curveball and his splitter in the zone as well. When you have the full arsenal of David Bednar working, well, guess what? He's David Bednar again. I feel great about him right now. And I'm really happy with how it all worked out. I had my questions about how they were handling it. I had my questions about, did they call him up too early? I had my questions about, did they put him back in the closer role too early? But all those questions have been assuaged now. I've seen it. I like it. I'm ready to keep rolling with it. Let's see how it continues. It certainly solidifies some things in the back of that bullpen. If you just go back to having David Bednar as the ninth inning guy, I'm not 100% sure that the Pirates are there yet as far as like just saying he's the ninth inning guy. I don't think they've made any kind of an announcement that he is anyway. And Dennis Santana being out on the bereavement list, it's really hard to tell if this is necessity or choice. I think it's probably choice. I think they would prefer to just leave David Bednar as the closer and let everybody else kind of handle getting them there. But a part of me really likes the versatility of being able to say, like, listen, my tougher matchup is in the eighth. Why not use David Bednar here? As long as there's no ego trip about the stats say or the save stat, it shouldn't be a problem. And I actually think it would make the bullpen a little stronger. Barucki, it looks like they want him to be a fireman, come in and put things out. Didn't work last night, but it has worked a lot. Dennis Santana, we've seen them use him as a closer. We may see them continue to do that when he comes back. I don't know exactly where their head is on this. Caleb Ferguson has certainly worked his way towards the back end. Great work from Caleb Ferguson last night, actually. 1 1/3 innings of scoreless relief. And that was following Chase Shugart, who gave them 1 2/3 scoreless relief. I mean, those two in particular have really, really pitched well out of the bullpen, and they've really kind of been the bridge to the back end for a lot of the time that the Pirates have been going this season. Caleb Ferguson, I don't think was expected to be part of this back end, but it's just worked out, and he's been unhittable. People have not gotten to him. That's a good thing. We make a lot of jokes about what this team did and didn't do in the offseason. Well, they did bring in a lot of interesting bullpen arms that are working out. So again, the only successes I can usually point to for Ben Cherington tend to be on the mound, and that remains a problem. Jared Triolo, I wanted to talk about real quick. Started using that torpedo bat yesterday in batting practice, and he got 1 at bat. I'm not sure if he used it. I couldn't tell, and I didn't hear anybody ask him after it, but that's an interesting development. Maybe a guy who can find more barrel all of a sudden. It'd be really cool if Jared Triolo was able to kind of get the bat going a little bit. I don't think he's ever going to hit like 30 home runs in this league, but if Jared Triolo can just, I don't know, pop 10 and get on base a little bit more often, well, his glove makes him a very valuable option to have on your team, somebody you definitely want on your roster. So that would be interesting if he could just kind of figure that out. They've got to figure out Colin Holderman. That's the big piece of the bullpen. And Dowry Moretta started a rehab assignment in Bradenton. That's another guy that's going to be an interesting fit for this bullpen. Where's he go? What role does he fill? He was in the back end before his injury. I would imagine he'll probably matriculate back to the back end, but it's time to bring back Money Moretta, because this team has really missed having some other special pitches in this bullpen, things that just can't be hit by anyone, and I can't wait to see that backup slider again in play. Interesting things. Good game, honestly. Pirates needed this one. Let's hope that they can get the series win here. The only thing standing between the Cubs and the playoffs is playing poorly in the NL Central. And traditionally, guess what the Cubs have done? Let's hope the Pirates can continue that trend. Thank you for making Locked On Pirates your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long, get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB or YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's go Bucks.